We are almost ready to start. I'll just be a quick intro, Leslie, and then I'll turn it over to you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's 8 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tracy Irby, and I'm the director at TWU, Center for Women Entrepreneurs. And for all of you that are new here, welcome. We're so glad to have you. And of course, for those that attend every month, we're always happy to see you again. We have Donalisa Stinyard online. Many of you are familiar with her. She is our program coordinator. And we also have Justina Shaw online. She is our small business advisor. And we have Samantha, who is over our secretary, who is over on Facebook, who will be answering questions there if anybody has anything there. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with us, the Center for Women Entrepreneurs was funded in 2015 by the state legislature just to help promote women entrepreneurs anywhere in the state of Texas. And we do that through small business advising, funding, research into women's issues in the workplace or women entrepreneurs, and also through networking and training events like this one. We are part of the larger Jane Nelson Institute for Women's Leadership, which is dedicated to preparing women to take on successful roles in business and public service to ensure women have the education to establish careers as successful C-suite executives, skills for building entrepreneurial businesses, and the framework needed to run for public office. So again, we're glad all of you are here today. Donalisa Stinyard is going to be taking the questions. So if you want to send any to her, Leslie, we usually do that at the end. So again, send your questions to Donalisa. And now I am so happy to introduce our speaker for today. Leslie Hassler, small business scaling strategist, is a dynamic author, speaker, and business strategist guiding women-owned service businesses into more profits, cash flow, and success. Business owners come to Leslie seeking a way to strategically scale their businesses richly, stop the money leaks, and get back in control with confidence. Using her more than 12 years of experience in business, finance, mindset, and more, Leslie takes multiple 6- and 7-figure businesses from cash-strapped and struggling to profitable and thriving with her unique scaling rich method. Her genius has also been featured on stages, podcasts, and publications around the United States. I'm so pleased to introduce Leslie Hassler.
Well, howdy, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you. I know we've got a good group on here, a good group that'll likely see this as a recording. And I think that's going to be really good for you guys. So one of the things I'm going to ask for is your presence and your participation, because I actually really miss live speaking. I get to meet so many of you, and the only way that I'm going to get to interact with you is through the chat. So make sure you're active there, on topic, but participating, and we'll have some fun things, ways that we can talk back and forth as we go through. So I am just going to get us shared screen over. Get over there, get everybody situated so I can see the chat. So give me just one more second. You know, so many screens, right? Just confirm that you can see the presentation. Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to talk about 9 proven strategies to scale your business. And really, one of the things that's a little bit different from me than other people you may have heard of is I'm not only concerned about the top line, I'm concerned about every line underneath that as well. Because what I've seen is we can turn on faucets, we can grow businesses, but if enough of it doesn't stick around, it's actually that growth can be harmful. And so I'm passionate about healthy businesses and really helping people build the business that suits them the best, which means it looks different from each individual. a couple of the things that we're going to talk about today, just so you know what to expect. So, if you're on a mission to have meaningful work, if you're really out there to do great work and have great impact, I you're in the right place. Usually, what we need to do is help you bring the money aspect into alignment so that you can continue doing your great work. We're also going to talk about simplification. I was on a call yesterday with a new client. We're doing strategic planning, and I went, I'm going to slow you down. And she's like, what? And I went, I know, I like to move fast too. But sometimes we need to simplify. We need to simplify and slow it down so that we can actually move quicker. And that's a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to share with you some counterintuitive strategies that actually have huge impact in your business. And I want to give you some tools, some things that will instantly help you see, oh, we're on track. Yay. Ooh, what's going on? Right? So that you can course correct. Because there's some things that have changed about small business, especially in the last, obviously, 2 years. But this has been a trend that's actually been going on for a while. So we're going to give you some ways to be a little more confident in how you manage that business. Does that sound good? Feel free at any time to put in the chat room and go, yep, that's me. I'm all for it. Let's go. That way I know we're on track. I think truly one of the things that I'm passionate about is there are people that want to change. There's people that wish and hope for more, right? You know what that difference is. You've met those both types of people. And honestly, we're all in that stage at one point or the other, aren't we? But really, what I want to do today is for those that are truly committed, like you are all in, I want you to think about your business a little differently and be open to that. But I also want you to stop settling. Because when we're a solopreneur, which is where most people start off with, we're in an echo chamber. our mind echoes and it reverberates, and that turns into beliefs and truths that maybe just don't serve us as best as maybe another belief or truth could serve us, right? So my goal is always to transform businesses into a well-oiled machine, because when it's well-oiled, you'll take a vacation. When it's well-oiled, you'll take a risk that maybe you wouldn't take otherwise. And some of the greatest growth opportunities come with a little risk, right? So we want to make sure we're doing that for you today. A little bit about what today can do for you. And I'm going to give you the goodies first, and then we'll go into the nitty gritty, right? So here's just some of the results that I've seen with my clients across all industries. And that's, we boost cash flow. Cash is fuel, right? Cash is fuel in the business. It's one of the first places we start. Increasing profitability, retaining and expanding team. How many people really could use a team member? And this is a big hurdle for a lot of people. Like, let me know in the chat so I can see. But it's a big challenge, is hiring that first person, knowing that you can afford them, knowing that they'll stay, knowing that you're paying them a fair wage. Historically, small business owners kind of underpay a little. How can we get into a range where we're attracting great talent and retaining them for our business? But there's also the exponential growth. I need a VA. Yes, you can't do it alone, for sure. Some of the exponential growth, this is one of the things we're going to talk about. And I'm actually going to show you a tool that helps you break down growth in a kind of a simple way. Most people, they say, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time, right? How do you grow a business? One step at a time. But when we set these goals for ourselves, we tend to set this goal that seems almost unattainable, and we don't know how to break it down. So I'll show you a little bit of that today in our presentation. And ultimately, like I said before, I am out to help you build your own financial legacy. And when you get all your ducks in a row, things just flow. And you're able to do things like not only pay yourself more, because that's very important, but also fun things for your employees that you now have, bonus programs and culture and training, charitable contributions. Almost every single one of my clients, as part of their profit plan, has a charitable contribution line. And let me tell you, they get really excited when they get to donate to their favorite charities. That feels really good. But the backside benefit is, who here needs funding? Who here has an idea of like a commercial building? Who wants to invest in systems and technology and software? When you've got cash flow, you can self-fund for a while, but when you build that profit in your business, you are bankable. Now, there's lots of other things that have to happen along the way, but when you have cash sitting in your bank likes you. They really, really, really want to help give you money, okay? Because they can see the return on investment. So that's one of those long-term strategies. If you're thinking about that, then pay attention to some of the things we'll talk about. But ultimately, it's about that freedom. Freedom is the number one reason I hear for people starting a business. Anybody come in here looking for more freedom? And freedom's about choice, guys, right? Freedom is about choice. And money helps give choice, let's be honest. But here's the kicker. So many people come in for freedom, and that's the first thing we sacrifice, right? So there's a couple of things here I'm going to say. Freedom's not a reward, it's an intention. And it's something you have to start enjoying in your business today. It's something you have to give yourself permission for today. And there's going to be a couple more things like that today that I'll share with you throughout. Here's the truth nobody realizes. It's not about your past or your industry. Those are actually limiters. And here's the crazy thing. You can have a positive past and it's a limiter, and you can have a negative past and it's a limiter. The past is just that, the past, right? It's learning. It's things that we can take and move and grow from. Your industry. I've seen so many businesses hamstringed by industry standards. Now, industry standards are really good. They help us, give us a benchmark, right? But there's so much change. There's so many ways that you can do business. There's so many ways you can sell. There's so many ways you can serve that I'd rather you were the industry leader and everybody else was following behind you versus limiting yourself to industry standards. And I'll have a couple of examples of how we've shifted that for some people in the past. The other kicker is it's not about money, and it's not about time, and it's not about readiness. Anybody here have kids? Were you really ready? Anybody here get a new puppy? a new animal, new fur baby? Were you really ready? No, you weren't. But would you change it? Likely not, right? And the same thing with business. I think I want everyone to understand that in order to have a day 10,000, you have to have a day 1. You just have to take a step. So money, time, Elon Musk has the same number of hours as we do. What are you doing with your time versus what he does with this time? It's choices. And they're all fine, but I want you to be aware that it's a choice. So anytime you say, I'm too busy, I don't have time, check your choices and your priorities and see if they're in alignment. It's a really good thing. What I'm going to share with you, though, is a process. It is not a magical formula. Like, I'm kind of over the gurus with the magical formulas because it's a one size fits all. And I know Donna Lisa and Tracy and Justine, right? I have to go back and double check your name. Anybody that's working at TW will tell you the same thing. There's more than one way to bake a cake, but there are some proven processes that work. And those are the underlining structure. And that's really what I want to share. And it's always about a common desire. And even though you need income, even though you're looking to, build up financial legacy, chances are you love to serve and you love to solve a problem. So a couple of things Chaco and I have to ask you. One is how you show up matters. So we've already got some great participation in the chat. Let's keep that going. Be present if you can. Turn your phone upside down. Turn off your email. Email slows down Zoom, by the way, just in case you're having some trouble. So turn off the email and participate. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have an aha moment, say aha and type it into the chat. That helps not just yourself retain that aha moment, but it's actually going to help everybody else as well to go, I didn't see that. That's a really interesting point. So we're going to kind of group learn here today and collaborate in that way. I want you to be courageous. And like, if you can do this, type courageous in the chat box. I want you to be courageous to choose one thing, not 3 things, not 5 things, not 10 things, because one thing will get done, right? And that's really what I'm about. Well, I love all the courage that we're having here. So be courageous to find one thing to do. And guys, I was speaking a couple years ago in DC, and I had this woman come up to me who attended a telesummit that I hosted in like 2014. So it had been 5 years, I think. And she was like, "You changed my world." And I just took this one thing and it changed. That's what I'm after. I want each of you to like come to another speaking engagement that I'm doing and come up and tell me how it's changed. That's my kudos. That's my jollies. So help me with that. But I love all that courage. The last thing, and I mentioned this before, is to think differently. There's a couple things here. You've heard the phrase from Albert Einstein, if you want a different result, you got to kind of do something. But I think oftentimes we think our different is different enough, and it's just not, it's falling a little short. So I really want you to think about being different enough. The most successful business owners, I got to tell you, they don't talk about it. Have you noticed that? They don't overshare it. And part of that is because their thinking is so different, they're not sure if you're going to accept it or argue about it. Right? So we're going to think a little bit different. So if you can think a little different, I want to tell you to watch out for 2 people. Do y'all remember Nellie Olson on Little House on the Prairie? Okay, so dating myself, loved Little House on the Prairie. She's our negative Nellie, right? Maybe you have a doubting Dan. Same thing. They come up and they're like, well, that won't work. I've tried that. Well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. All these little things that happen, and they're going to happen today, but they happen when you listen to other people too, don't they? Here's my gift. That is a point of resistance. Negative Nelly and doubting Dan is the fear trying to save you, and that's healthy. Fear is actually healthy. What you do with it is what matters, right? If you get that moment, write down whatever we've just talked about. Because oftentimes negative Nelly and doubting Dan are standing in front of your greatest opportunity. And I was talking with a client yesterday, and I was like, look, can we put your phone number on the top of your website? I was like, so people can call you because that's what you want, right? And she's like, yeah, but I don't want to be salesy. And I was like, sometimes we see something, then we're like, I don't want to be that. And our inclinations to go 180 degrees, right? Instead of just saying, but I do want this, and realizing I need to make a sale in order to make that happen, right? So that's a little bit, I want you to think about. Negative Nelly said, oh, I don't want that. And they went way over here, right? There's some opportunities in the middle. Does that all sound good to people? All right. So let's talk about women business owners. Now, here's the crazy thing. We have lots of people doing lots of research, but it's never quite deep enough. So the things I'm going to share with you are over multiple different sources, and I'm going to point out some of the inconsistencies. But there's some good news, right? We're close to parity. If you think about between male business owners, women business owners, this is 2019 data, 2020. Tremendous amount of women starting businesses each and every day. Texas is one of the top states. I personally feel like DFW is really huge, although I can't find anybody that will back me up with that. But being in NABO, doing what I do, I see the sheer numbers. Okay. And that's tremendous. Really exciting to me is the 64% of new women-owned businesses were women of color. That's tremendous. That is really, really luscious, guys. Lots of us, this is our primary source of income. It's significant. And as we're finding out, women founded companies outperform 63%. That's pretty cool. And then we have stats like this, which really kind of make me scratch my head. Female entrepreneurs ask for roughly $35,000 less in business financing than men. Do you know a woman is more likely to go into her savings, into her 401k, and into credit card debt versus seeking funding? because we have some judgment issues. Let's be honest, don't we? We feel judged. Agreed. Maybe I can change a little bit of that for you. I mean, that's really why we talk about the money aspect of it. This is another one that kind of, I'm like, this one kind of frustrates me. If you look across average revenues for male versus women, obviously there's some parity. 50% of 10,000 small business alumni are women. Yeah. I've sat on those interview boards. It's a great community. Here's the disparity, though. When you look at the average revenue size male to woman, we're looking at 50%. Isn't that interesting? Now, I will tell you, majority of women-owned businesses are service-based businesses. Majority of them are in professional services. Revenue's not the end-all be-all. I can produce more net profit at $384K with a service business than I can with $1 million product business. So models aren't all equal. Let's keep that in mind. But this one pisses me off. I'm just going to say it. The disparity between all women-owned businesses and then a minority woman-owned business. And here's the thing. Like, I spoke in front of the Greater Southwest African American Chamber 5 years ago. So I was really digging into some of this stuff. And I got so mad that we have this kind of level of disparity among women. So truly, if I share you the data so you can actually see, okay, this is normal. I'm normal. You're normal. We're all going through this similar journeys, but I want to fire you up. I want you to be passionate, not just about your own business and shifting some of those thoughts, but how we bring each other up, which is why I give so much. I give against the grain. I give more than I should. And I have other people tell me how much I get too much. And I'm like, I don't care. I got to fix this. Right. If we had parity, we would add another 4 million jobs and 981 billion in revenue. That's just if we brought parity to women-owned category. That's pretty tremendous. And women have such a massive impact. I want to tell you that because I want you to have strength and I want you to get out of your echo chamber and I want you to start talking to other women and really getting that community around you that can help support you. Anybody need that in their lives? Anybody want some of that? So, I mean, put it in the chat. Come on, that's how you talk to me. I've done Elisa's like, yes. Here's where things get interesting. So the bulging beginning. If you're a new business, chances are you're going to spend maybe a year, maybe two, trying to get up to 6 figures, and that's groovy. But 89% of the businesses are there. Okay, got it? Bustling top. 2% women business owners are making 2.5 million or more. Now, granted, your product, you've got a greater ability to do that, but I've seen 3 million, 4 million, $10 million service businesses. So it's definitely doable. And then what we have is the missing middle. So this is interesting to me, especially since we just looked at this average woman business owners, 384 in revenue. I'm like, that means our biggies are really big, right? There's some big numbers that are pulling up that average. But the truth is there's a missing middle. And that's why I work in that missing middle range, because I really know how there's just certain glass ceilings you hit in here that require you to change how you think about business. Okay, awesome. So Maisha maybe is saying she loves this. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of, I'm going to say, especially when we're talking about things you're going to feel some things. It's okay. It's really okay if you're feeling things. So 4.2 million or 4.2% make $1 million or more. That's not enough. It's really not enough. A little bit about me, so you know, I've been on this journey for a while. I ran my own service-based business from 2007 to 2014. And I often say I have an MBA from the School of Hard Knocks, and I failed a few subjects, so I had to retake them. I had some learnings I had to relearn more than once, and they were painful. And you can kind of see I've gone up, I've gone down, I've rebuilt, I've been in the valley of darkness, I've been on the mountaintops and everything between. I think that's one reason why I don't see entrepreneurship as a race. Like I can see Leslie and Sharon and Veronica here. I'm not racing you, right? I'm on a journey of my own, and sometimes our paths cross, and sometimes we walk along with each other for a while, and sometimes we deviate, we come back. I mean, it's just a journey, because I would not have fathomed that I would be where I am today in 2007 when I found out on a Wednesday that I wasn't going to have a job by Friday, and I opened up my business on Monday. Anybody else? Anybody else on that journey? Truly, though, what I've seen, and this is my mission is to empower prosperity for every business. Whether you're my client or not, I don't care. I'm here to help you be more prosperous. And sometimes that's money, sometimes it's quality of life. When you say revenue, do you mean gross sales, money coming in, or net profit? Revenue is top line, money coming in, sales. Net profit's bottom line, way down at the bottom. So both are equally important. They're like two sisters, kind of joined at the hip a little bit. I sometimes put too much emphasis on the revenue. Awesome. Yes. It's a journey, guys. Sometimes you get a flat tire. That's all I'm going to say. Really though, I will say I can share just a little bit on the cash management, but this was big enough that I put it on the timeline, is how I manage my cash flow and profit, shifted everything. At the end of 2019, I paid for the entire year of 2020, like all my expenses. Okay. Can I tell you what a relief that was come March? Yeah, Teresa's like, yeah. Because here's what I did in March. In March, I doubled down on every single one of my clients, whether they were paying me to meet with them every week or not. Everyone, we were meeting every week because there was just too much going on, and I'm committed to them. That meant I wasn't marketing. So I could take time to be with my clients, but my father-in-law passed away in April, non-COVID, but it was another thing that really hit me hard because we were, not primary caregiver, but we were supportive in that way. And then we had to deal with his estate and all that nice fun stuff. So that takes time. Imagine my stress level, what it would have been. So that's kind of one of those thinking differently things that a lot of people fight. So if you're looking for good reading, I would say Profit First. It's a really hard read. I'm going to be honest. I had to read it twice. First time I stopped at chapter 4. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We do something kind of a combination between Profit First and the envelope system. Anybody's grandma ever do the envelope system? You know what I'm talking about? Say envelope in the chat so because I only can see 6 people. So, say that if you've been there. These things change lives. So I'm gonna say, if you haven't started it, I don't care how small. I don't care if you started yesterday. Do it. Get in the practice. It changes life. Yeah, Dave Ramsey. Exactly. These are really good things. I had a client, I was tempted to put it in here. She sent me the paper. Like, it doesn't even have to be complicated. She sent me a notebook paper. She goes, look at this. And her profit line was massive. And then she's like, owner's compensation, bonus plan, Christmas party. I mean, she had fun with the money. And Tracy's laughing. Okay, good. I'm glad. I won't harp on that. Okay, so let's talk about growth and scalability. Have you noticed that there's lots of words in business that people use interchangeably and everybody seems to have like a personal definition for? Well, to me, growth and scalability is right there. Is we tend to use them interchangeably, and there's actually some differences. I love this image of a spiral staircase. Does anyone like or try to take the stairs like more than one step at a time? I can't. I'm notorious for falling down stairs. Oh, I can't believe a CPA wasn't a fan. Sometimes my legs are too short. Right. I mean, you might be able to take 2 steps, but chances are, if you're like me, you got to take it 1 step at a time. But if you try to take more than 1 step on a spiral staircase, that becomes really challenging. What I see happen in business is that people try to take 4 steps and then they fail and slide and they get bruised knees and they try it again. And that's what builds all that frustration when all you just need to do is take the next step and take the next step. And eventually you get up. But you can also go down. There's a spiral up and there's a spiral down. So we want to make sure the momentum is going in the right way. Yes, Gina says, depends on the shoes I'm wearing. One is enough for Tracy. Yeah, true. So here's how growth, I'm going to give you a couple visual representations because I'm a visual gal. This is like the accelerated growth of technology. So what I love about this, and I know it's kind of fuzzy, like in the 1400s, we had the printing press, and then 1900s, we're getting the car. It's 500 years. Well, that is growth. That's what growth looks like. Our history of growth is to double a business, you grow 14.4% every year for 5 years. Has anyone heard that? It's kind of an old definition of good growth. Well, what's happened since 1900s? And I point to my screen like you can see it. And then you go up, right? That is scale. Can you have one without the other? Not really. Growth is a one-to-one exchange. Okay, I'm going to give a real basic definition. It's a one-to-one exchange. It's usually foundational. It's about proving concept. It's and when I say one-to-one exchange, it means that for every dollar you invest, you're gonna get $1 back. What people think it is a light switch. Like I invest the dollar, it's coming right back. It doesn't. It takes a while. I was talking with a gentleman that owns a spice distribution business here, and we were talking about this concept, and he said, oh my gosh, that happened to me. We invested 6 figures into modernizing, because he took over the business from his dad, modernizing, electrifying, being able to scan things for inventory, all of that's necessary things. And I was like, okay, I'll bite. How long until you saw the cash come back? He goes, 18 months. Most businesses can't wait 18 months, right? In fact, Harvard Business Review says the average days cash on hand is 9 to 12. McKinsey said 16, and that was before COVID. I've actually seen that improve over COVID. It definitely can. It just takes some really good money management. And girls, ladies, friends, if you can tell me how much 30% off is on shoes or a dress and know how much you saved in a matter of seconds, you're good at money. You're good at math, right? Those are one of those negative Nelly things that kind of come up. So let's look at what this might look like in a different way. So I have been sharing this for years. So if you've been in a speaking engagement with me, you've probably seen this, but I'm still fascinated. So from about 2000 to 2018 is what we're going to look at here. Everything seems pretty reasonable, right? All these companies would tell you their growth is good. Yay, growth is good. Not going to knock growth. When we get to 2008, I believe, we're going to see something interesting happen. I don't know. You can tell me in the chat what you see when you see it. What did you see? So Google popped up. Do you see Google? Ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Wait. Kelly, it's more than tech, though. It's more than tech. Here comes Apple. All right. Okay, wait for it. We're going to have some more here. So I feel like we're watching the horse races, right? Except you see people that are growing and you see people that are scaling. Now, growth and scale, it's not like you grow and then you scale forever. You typically go grow, scale, grow, scale, grow, scale. You bounce back and forth because you have to update it. Yeah, I know Amazon, 2004 is when they came on, but we're going to talk about Amazon here. This is really interesting. So yeah, okay, so they're tech, they're SaaS at the top 4. But here's the kicker. These were product-based businesses that turned into services. Interesting. There was somebody a little bit earlier that talked about going from a product to a service. So there's a lot of potential. And yeah, maybe you won't be at $396 million in brand value. But come on, you could be more than where you are today, right? And that would be life-changing. So anybody else find that interesting? Service and innovators. Yeah, innovation has a lot to do with it, David. So here's one of the tools I was promising you and how we break down growth, a different way to think about growth. So you'll see there's a bunch of numbers. There's some KPIs. Tracy and I did a KPI presentation earlier this year. So lots that can go into this, but this is a company that came in for a business audit. They eventually became a one-to-one client. And we just took a look at the numbers. You know, it's kind of like you go to the doctors, you get a physical. That's what we were doing. That's a business audit. And we saw some pretty good things here, but there's one thing like in leads, how many people track their leads? It's usually about 20% of my room track their leads. So this is a case where the leads weren't tracked. So we had to make some guesstimates. Yeah, I do. Good for you. I think track it and know it. It's gold, gold information. When we looked at everything that was going on, we identified this business was at a scalable moment. They had the foundations in place to be able to maximize the return or maximize the productivity, maximize profitability. And so we came up with this as a plan. Now, anybody scared by these increases? I mean, our leads, okay, that's a jump, but everything else is minimal. Like we're not looking for this big hairy thing at multiple levels. We're looking for a little bit of growth that has an exponential value. Y'all have heard the story, like if I give you a penny a day and it doubles by the end of the month, you have millions of dollars, right? Same principle that we're working on here. So in 2019, hey, we didn't meet goal. We figured out, okay, you're not converting as high. That's a valuable thing to know. But I'll tell you, this 57% is still twice our industry average. That's a good thing to know. That's a good thing. And you'll see there were other things that increased greatly, like our average sale. Well, that's a big jump. That's a significant jump there. All we did was say, hey, we want this and we want this. Just find me people that need these two things. We got really clear on what the basic common denominator was for the business. And all we did was shift expectations. In 2020, her industry declined on average 26%. She declined 2. Anybody take that 2? And this year she's on track for $1 million. I'm not working with her this year. Okay, that's why some of these things, and I'm going to get into the 9 areas, it really, if you can put them into place, you can go. Now, this is a tool. I actually, I have a 5-day challenge coming up. I'm just going to put the information real quick into the chat so you can see. You can either go to the registration play and join me, or just type 5DC in your email in the chat and I'll grab it later. The end goal at the end of the week is that chart, is your growth forecast. So if that's something you'd like to do together, it's free. It's completely free. We work on it. We do building blocks across the week and you walk out with that. Get back over to the presentation. So how do we move from growth to scalability? There was somebody in my networking group earlier. I'm really rely on visual names. So it was the Devil Doc Publishing. I remember that because I love your business name. We were talking about the plan and I'm busy and how do I get there kind of a thing. That's one of those counterintuitive things sometimes that tells us we're ready. We're at a scalable moment where you're busy enough. You don't feel like you're making enough, but you can't fathom working more. Like there's no more time. There's no more seconds. That's actually one of those counterintuitive signs. Christine, thank you, Christine. That's one of those counterintuitive signs that really tell you that you're kind of ready for some of this stuff. There's plenty. There's 5. I have an article on the website if you're interested in it. But here are the 9 areas. All right. So identity, leadership, cash flow, protection, strategy, business model, blah, blah, blah. We're going to go into these a little bit deeper. But I want to share with you another article. So when I was working on stuff, especially as COVID was hitting and really trying to get more inspiration and practical information out there, came across this article by the Harvard Business Review called Roaring Out of a Recession. And it showed an interesting thing. So they studied 40 years of economic recessions from 80s up until 2009. So included all those things. And they said, look, we know what people do wrong. That's not hard, right? It's really easy to see, especially in the aftermath. But what are people doing right? What are those qualities? So when they studied 5,000 businesses, what they found was 74% struggled to return to where they were. And they were like, wow, that's pretty significant. They're like only 9% exited a recession, an economic event, stronger than ever. And then they found on average 17% didn't survive. The last number that I saw towards the end of last year was predicting we were at 25% for 2020 in business loss, a little bit of over that kind of typical impact. And part of that is because people's cash flow dried up. I say it was the cash flow mask that came off. We had blinders on it because there was enough money flowing that you didn't see what the problems were. And we just were hit hard with that. So let's go a little bit deeper. So the first thing is a scalable, valuable business model. Lots of times the model's not scalable and we're trying to push it like, is it Sisyphus trying to push the boulder up the mountain? We're trying to push it when we really need to modify it. And it needs to be valuable, not valuable to us, but valuable to our clients. Look, if they don't have the problem you're solving, it doesn't matter how good you are, right? They're not buying. So it needs to be valuable so that they buy. This next one, it's a little jargonish. I just love it though. It came straight from the Harvard Business Review article and we'll talk about it. But they talked about a comprehensive offense with a restrained defense. So let me put that in everyday language. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and don't cut off your nose to spite your face. I tell my son that all the time, especially the last one. I'm like, you're cutting off your nose, spite your face. So what they mean here is don't bet the farm on a single idea. Have some backup. Have some other things that you're doing. David earlier talked about, I know he mentioned innovation. This is the area of innovation. The companies that innovated and almost doubled down on their development and their R&D were part of that 9%. In fact, Amazon was one of their stellar cases. There's something I bet every single one of you use at least once a year. At least once a year that's Amazon related. What is it? Once a week. We probably use it 5 times a week. Anybody have an idea? Prime and Marketplace. Yeah, Prime. That in the dot-com bust of 2000, that's what Amazon developed. Do you remember when Amazon came onto that scoreboard? 2004. Isn't that interesting? They have an incredibly diverse business model. They've got like 4 or 5 working there. It's really amazing. One of the things, this is my gift to you, is to invest in reliable returns. That's part of that comprehensive offense. I gave you three categories, if you will, of where you might be with money in your business. You might be in an imperative. Hi, I need money. Like yesterday, today, tomorrow. Okay, that's a cash imperative. We all get there. You can be an incredibly healthy business and tomorrow and be into a cash imperative, right? Cash stable, meaning I can cover my bills. There might be a little left over. I'm not, I wouldn't say that I'm doing awesome, but I'm doing pretty good. And then there's cash strong. That's when you're really in that you've got money sitting in the bank that needs to get invested. So as many times as I see people that are in cash imperative and help there, I also have clients and I'm like, you're sitting on way too much cash. It needs to get put to use. That you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. We can do this safely. So you'll see there's no-brainers, short-term and medium-term and long-term. Those are strategies that you expect to have a return. So if it's a no-brainer, mean you could do it today, you could do it tomorrow, you're likely going to see some effect short, 30 days, 60 days. Okay, no-brainers. Always include some no-brainers. It makes us feel good. And it works. Short term, you're going to see a return on 30 or 3 months. 3 months, medium, 6 months, long term, longer. What happens is people get into cash imperatives and they go out after the big sexy things that are actually long-term strategies. Remember our story about return on investment? They can't wait for it. They don't have enough time to wait for it to return. So you build yourself up It might take a while to build that up. I've done that accidentally. Yeah, it happens. It happens. We're all human. All right, so I'm going to go through a couple more things here. Defensible positions, we talked about reserves. Legal agreements. Please, please, please protect your business. Please, please, please protect your intellectual property. It's very precious. Don't write your own agreements. I'm just going to leave it there, right? Breaking the break-even mindset. Contradictory competing commitments. Who wants to run out of money? Anybody? No. Who wants to pay taxes? Anyone? Yeah. I'm seeing a couple of faces like, who wants to do that? Those are two competing commitments, right? Two competing commitments in your business, and they hurt. Taxes, paying taxes is a privilege of profit. If you're doing the envelope system, if you're planning for it, there are no surprises. The good surprise is that you might get some money back. So when we do profit plans, we're talking to our CPA. We're like, here's our growth. Here's what we're projecting. Where does that impact us from tax? Like worst case scenario. And we plan for the worst case, but then we mitigate it down, right? So that it's a good thing. If freedom was an intention, profit is an intention. There are no profit fairies. Has anyone figured that out? You're not going to be good enough, big enough, strong enough to suddenly have a profit fairy come, ding, congratulations, you now have profit. I have to do that little voice. The thing is, okay, so product-based businesses have a minimum viable product. Yeah, we've heard this. Service-based business need to get to a minimum viable profitability, meaning you need to be as profitable as possible, as small as possible. That's how you start being able to leverage. Think of it this way. Having a lack of profitability is like having a leaky bucket. So you don't want to turn on the faucet and just have it all leak, right? You want to retain as much of that as you can. So work on profit. Work on profit. Identity and leadership. Guys, every time you up-level your business, you're going to have to up-level yourself. I foolishly thought coming into this business, I had it all done. I had done all that work. I had to do some of the deepest, hardest self-improvement work to get to where I am today. I would say the first 5 years coming into this were definitely a lot harder than the 5 years before. Leadership, fluidity. Because of the rate of change, you're going to have to shift and be able to shift. So improve your leadership abilities, improve how the different strategies so that when you have a situation, you know how to meet that situation. Because oftentimes we just come to the table with the wrong strategy. And we need to be able a little bit more. I think Dare to Lead should be mandatory reading personally. So there's another good book for you. I'm going to kind of wrap up here shortly. We've talked about team. I want to get into this work because we have a really interesting relationship with work. One of the biggest changes you'll need to get through in your business is go from the one doing all the work to the one ensuring the work gets done. There's a difference there, isn't there? And that's a big hurdle for people to jump of. A lot of people get stuck here. But here's where we're at. So getting work done, that's kind of a growth. Getting more done with what you have, not getting more done with less. That's not the name of the game. That's a cutting off our nose to spite our face. Is about scalability. So when you're moving, and it's a dance, just like growth and scalability is a dance. We're dancing with two partners. We want to improve our capacity and we want to improve our efficiency. Too many times people throw what I say is throws bodies at the problem, like just hires more people but never solves the problem. We want to improve those things so that we're efficient, and we want to reduce our hurdles and our leaks. Sometimes hurdles are self-inflicted, like you've had a bad client experience. So you put up these hurdles that really scare away good clients. So we want to reduce hurdles. What we're looking for is ease and flow. I got to get you out of the way to allow, Leslie's down there laughing, to allow things to kind of flow through, right? That's why I downsized my team. Sometimes that's a smart move. Sometimes the people that got you here won't be the people that get you there. And that's okay too. We just have to recognize that. Agility, you saw that increase in change, right? You've got to be on the ball. What works today may not work tomorrow. We're really in I feel like an era of the wild, wild west. Anything can go, anything can happen. So we just need to have a better culture around how we deal with those. What are the two strategies before people? Let me go back for you. Identity and leadership. Yeah, there we go. Oh, Sheila helped us out. Sorry about that. So we're almost done, guys. Just a couple more slides. What most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in 3. So that's why we get a lot of frustration and angst, and like we stop trying to grow because we're trying to eat too much of an elephant too quickly. But then we don't dream big, is the flip side of it. So the structure, and this is a really typical structure, I find it works really, really well, that we use that keep us strategic and keep us agile, is a 3-year really big vision, and I push you to be big. We've got to have something that's our siren song that calls us forward, the heart part of it. 1-year vision, like how are you going to feel? What's it going to look like? What's it going to taste? Use your 5 senses. What would you hear? What would you see? What would you touch? What would you taste? All those senses that you can do. What would you smell? For me, I always taste bubbles, like champagne bubbles. I hear my wind chimes. Those are good, joyous things for me. We do concrete to 1-year goals, but 90-day action plans. We don't do 1-year plans because too much changes and we feel too married or too underprepared. So we do 90-day action plans, which are typically long enough for us to see if something's going to work. Then we dump the losers, we add more winners, and we just kind of keep that iterative compounding effect. And then KPI, monthly reporting. You shouldn't be waiting for your bookkeeper or your CPA to know what your revenue or your profitability is, right? They can tell you, but it needs to be more frequent than once a year. So guys, that's it. I know we probably have some questions. Like I said, if you're in on the challenge, you can just give me a 5DC and your email in the comments, or you can go to our link. I think I have it. There we go. I'll just copy and paste that in again. And then Donna Lisa, what kind of questions do we have?
You want to pull off the share screen so we can?
Yeah. There we go.
And let me unpin you. All right. Who has some questions? Anybody? How much does your service cost on a small business? That's probably something that you can reach out to Leslie for specifically and discuss that. I'm sure she's got her.
Yeah, there's a link in what I just shared. If you're interested, if you just want to come play, do the challenge. Let's come play. It's a lot of fun and it's impactful. If you want to talk about working one-to-one, then use the discovery session and you can just schedule a time. So they're both in that little blurb I just posted. Any aha moments? Oh, Donna Lisa, did you have another question?
No, I was gonna, I'm waiting to hear if somebody had an aha moment. We had some stuff in the chat, so.
Lots of aha moments. Kima, what was your, the biggest one?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Okay, so the biggest one for me, I would honestly say, because it affected my perception of everything else that you said, was just, not being the Debbie Downer or the negative Nancy. I think I've created a habit of trying to figure out what the problem is going to look like because I pride myself in being solution oriented, and I've gotten so taken aback by things that I didn't expect that I've unknowingly gotten into a Debbie Downer mindset, and it's been really, affected my ability to find solutions to move forward. And so, when you said that, it was like, okay, all right. And then it's like, I started taking even more extensive notes. I have like 4 pages of notes.
Yeah, I know I share a lot, guys, and I know our time is brief. I want you to have those aha moments because you're going to look at things differently, aren't you? You're going to make different decisions. we're back to thinking differently, acting differently, getting different results. So a lot of people are saying monthly KPIs, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to hear a specific one. I don't know. Who do we got? Christine, did you get a little more clarity on what a plan might look like?
Yeah, I actually did. I'm processing it all right now, but it's given me some good jumping off points.
Yeah, some different viewpoints. Great. Samantha saying, how do we tell different investment types? Maybe if you could clarify that, Samantha, we can answer that. Freedom is a choice. It was, I got to tell you, have you ever done the My Ideal Day exercise? Like really written down, you wake up at 7 a.m. At 7:15, I have a cup of coffee. At 7:30, I go work out. Have you ever done that? When I came into this business, I can work hard like a crazy person. And that was one thing I thought I had learned from my first business, is not to be a slave to my business. And when I came into this one, I really wanted the success. So I went straight back to old habits. And my mentor challenged me. And she was like, so why aren't you living your ideal day? I was like, well, I got so much to do. She goes, no, you need to start living it. It's one of those rewards of business. I mean, be focused, be disciplined, get your stuff done. Work on what matters. Have green in your business. Work on things that build your business. But at the same time, go work out. Go to sleep well. Eat lunch. Go play with your kids out in the sun at 3:00 if that's what you want. Awesome. So many people start. It is the first thing we sacrifice, because that hustle and grind, that's how you make it work, right? I don't think for a woman. Go ahead, Donalisa.
I think society kind of pumps that though too, right? It's like they give you that perception that if you're not hustling, like, how do you define hustle, right? If you're not hustling, then you're not being productive and you're not doing your work. And I think one of the things that I heard somebody tell me one time as I stepped into entrepreneurship was, again, going back to your ideal day, it's building your business around your life and not your life around your business. And I think that's where that freedom, that intentional freedom piece comes in. It's what do you want that to look like? And you have the power to create that.
You so do. And I think the problem with hustle and grind is you tell a woman to hustle and grind, and we take it to Martyrsville. Right? Don't we? Anybody here not? Because I know I do. I actually have to work harder at the time off and allowing space for recovery, because I'm intense. I can be intense when I'm working. Like, I immerse myself. So I know that I can go 3 weeks working hard on a problem and I can bang it out. But if I don't give myself a week of chilling and being lazy, I lose steam.
Yeah.
And
we do have a question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to say your name. You can go ahead and pop on, unmute yourself.
Hi, it's Ehenia.
Hi.
So my question is, on the no-brainer slide, are the numbers, what do the numbers represent?
The number of strategies. If I'm honest, I do 3 strategies every 90 days. I'm only working on 3 initiatives every 90 days. And I was working with a client. We were doing her 90-day plan yesterday. And I went, okay, I'm going to give you 4 because I know you're going to fight me. I know you're going to want to do more, but I'm eventually going to get you to do less. And so a no-brainer makes us, for anybody like to check off lists? Anybody?
Yes, me.
Okay. Yeah. So a no-brainer gives you something to check off. So you don't feel, it's a psychological thing. There's things we have to do to ourselves that are psychological tricks, so that we can actually do what benefits us, not what we've learned. And I can't undo your history, but I can work with it and I can give you ways to feel good along the way. If you feel good precipitously, you continue the good habit. That's what I'm trying to do. So I'm giving you your endorphin of a no-brainer. Done. I'm a rock star, And then you go to the next, done, I'm a rock star. And they're like, okay, I can handle this next one. And you work on it and you get it done. And you're like, okay, that felt good. I see how we're trying to make everything easy. And that's, you know, if I could give you an easy button, I would, but this is one of the best ways I can do that.
Super.
Leslie, can you mention the books again? I think we've had a couple people ask. I think it was Profits First.
Profit First by Mike Michalowicz.
And then The Dare to Lead by
Brene Brown. Yeah. I think that's just mandatory reading.
Yeah, it is very good.
Yeah.
And then I think the last question was, they were curious if you were going to be willing to share your slide deck with us to send out.
Yeah, I can give you a copy as a PDF. I'll send it to you, Donalisa. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
I'll save it to Dropbox. I'll send you the link. Can y'all get Dropbox, Donalisa and Tracy? And then
hopefully we won't have any trouble with that. Yeah. So it said there was another book by David Leach.
I didn't mention that author. I'm not familiar with that author. Okay. And we only talked about Dare to Lead and Profit First, although there's a bazillion that I could share with you.
Okay. Well, we will get that from Leslie and get it sent out. And thank you so much, Leslie. We're going to turn it back over to Tracy.
Oh, great information today and lots of questions. I know Samantha had the second part of hers, but maybe you can reach out to her, Leslie, because we try to be mindful of everybody's time here as well. So again, thank you so much. That was such great information. We have next month for our WomenRISE, launching, promoting, and monetizing your podcast. We're going to have 2 people from Big Girl Pants podcast talk to us about that. So I hope all of you can join us next month. Is registration live now, Donalisa?
It is live now, and we do have a poll to take today.
Okay, great. And we are also, after that, we will be going back to breakout rooms to network for those that are interested. Leslie, there was so much great information to learn, but I really loved the part where you said people overestimate year 1. We see that a lot and really try to help there. And then again, underestimating year 3. So I think everybody had some great takeaways today.
Well, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, you bet. And for anyone interested, you can save the chat box. If you are in the chat and go across from where your name is, there are 3 dots, and you can hit that and scroll to the first one, and it will save the chat. So if there was information in there, or contacts or anything else, you can get it from there. All right, Donalisa.